Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty and today I'm going to be showing you how to use this trailing floral template to make this pattern here. This particular template is one of a set of 6 which you can find in my Etsy store, but if you want to have a go for free, you can find this template here in my freebie library and follow along with that one. This is a more advanced level tutorial, so if you've never made a pattern using the diamond method before, then I suggest checking out this video first as it covers everything in more detail and at a slower pace. So let's get started with trailing floral template number 5 this week. I'm going to import it from the main gallery. So you go to import and I'll bring in trailing floral template number 5. As always, we've got a blank screen because that helps keep the file size down if you save it with just white showing. And so we can turn this one on now. And for this pattern, I'm going to do some cute little buds, I think. You could draw anything you like in these spaces. They could be little daisies, they could be side view florals, absolutely anything you like. I'm going to use this stamp here from the flower shaped stamp that comes with the set, and I'm going to use this one here. So on my sketch diamond here, I'm going to just go ahead and start stamping these out. And then with freehand and select tool, I'm just going to turn snapping off. And then we can place these inside the circle boundaries and lining the points up with the stems there. And then I'm just going to go around this layer, and anywhere there's a black circle, I'm going to stamp one of these in and line it up. So you don't need to do the blue circles, just the black circles. So over on this side where we've got some pink stems, and as you probably know, these go in the extra group. The flowers themselves, the circles are black, so we would still put these on this layer, but we don't need to worry about tracing over the pink stems. Once you've got all your flower motifs on there, if you wanted to make any other changes to this pattern, so for example if you wanted to add any other leaves, if you wanted to change the shape of the leaves, then I would make the changes on this sketch layer and then we can duplicate them around the edge. Because I'm not going to be making any other changes, I'm going to stick to the pattern that I've drawn. It's just the flowers that are going to be different. That's the only part I'm going to need to draw in this sketch layer. So I'm going to duplicate the sketch diamond, drag it down here with snapping and magnetics on, and snap that down there. Then drag that one across, and every time I do this, I'm checking for these orange lines crossing over in the corners so that I know that it's snapping into place. And then we can pinch those together, and I'll invert the colours on that one. And then when we come to illustrate this in a moment, we know we just need to draw the blue flowers. It'll be easy to tell what's what. So we can collapse down our sketch group and we can turn on our pattern group now. We can hide the pattern marker. I've already added a layer here above it, and I'm going to start by drawing in the stems. And as always with these trailing floral templates, it's a case of looking and seeing which bits cross over both sides of the diamond. In this one, we've got several. We've got this line which goes up, starts here and crosses over there, but it also crosses over up here. So to draw this one in, I'm going to start up here and draw this curve in here first of all, and then we'll work everything off that one. So I think I'm going to go for pink stems in this pattern. Grab my tracing crayon brush, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to follow the line as closely as I can and finish down about there. And then we can duplicate this up here. We'll have this stem in here, and we can then bring it and join it in with that one. So to do that, we're going to put a mark off this corner and that corner, going right off the edges. Duplicate this layer, drag it up and over to the right, snap it into place there. And then we've got the top of that part in there. So we can then go back down to this layer here, the one that's got this stem on it, rejoin there and carry it on. So we'll start drawing in line with this one. Oops, that wasn't very smooth. Sometimes it does take a couple of goes to get this just right. As you can see, I keep having to undo this and redraw it. There we go. Finally got it. And then you can bring this down and merge it in there. So now we've got that nice seamless line going all the way around the canvas there. So the other part that we have to merge in is down here. This line is going to need to merge in with this stem here, which is actually this stem up here. So we can duplicate this bottom layer again, drag it down and to the right and snap it into place there. And then on this bottom layer again, we can then start to draw these motifs in. So we can start anywhere up here. Some of these parts are going to be drawn as part of the extra section. So if we start here, merge it in there. When we draw the extra section, we'll just be merging it with what we draw now. So try and follow the line as exactly as you can. And that is all of the crossing over parts that we have to do until we get to this extra section. So now we can just go ahead and trace over all of these other stems. We can get rid of these two duplicated ones and just carry on working on this bottom sketch layer. So once you have all of your stems in place, then we're going to go ahead and do the leaves. So I'm going to add a layer underneath to do those, and let's make these ones red, why not? So I think now I'm going to change the background colour because that will help me decide what colour to do these flowers. So I'm going to make that this dark blue colour. And because I drew my flowers in dark blue, I'm going to need to go down to my sketch layer and just change the blend mode on this to something like linear burn, and then I'll still be able to see them. So I'm going to add a layer above the stems, and I think I'm going to make these orange. So let's draw the top part in orange. Actually, I think I'll make the top part like this peach colour, and then I'll make the underneath part orange. I'm just going to go around and trace over all these little petals. And these ones here, don't forget, even though they're coming off pink stems, the circles around them are black, so they need to be part of this black pattern group. And then underneath this layer, I'll add a new one, and I'm going to trace the back petals in a darker orange colour. So now all of our motifs are in place in our pattern layer with the black motifs, we can go to our extra group to finish off these pink motifs. So we're going to swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all, then turn on our extra group, tap on this extra marker layer, swipe down with 3 fingers and paste. Now we've got a flattened copy of everything. We can duplicate that and drag it over to this side and snap it to the edge there. And then do the same with this one to the other side. Then we can pinch to merge those two together, and then we just need to finish drawing in these extra pink parts here. So we'll add a layer above that, grab the pink brush that I was using before, and then we just need to draw these pink parts and merge them in. Try and line these up with what we've drawn already on the flowers. Then this one here. And then underneath we'll just put the leaves in. So now we can close this extra group for now and go back to our pattern motifs. We'll hide the extra group as well as closing it. And there's just a little bit of shading that I want to do on these to blend the buds in with the stems. So I'm going to go to this layer that's got the light peach on it. I'm going to add a layer above, clip it down, and I'm going to grab a shading brush here. I'm going to use my gradient texture large. I'm going to grab the same colour as the stems, and I'm just going to blend that up onto those like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of those. And then I'm going to repeat that on the orange below as well. So with the orange layer selected, add a layer, clip it down, and we're going to add that on there as well. I'm going to use this nice red colour instead because it's a little bit darker. Then I want to lighten the tops of these buds a bit, so I'm going to go to that layer, the pink clipping mask. I'm going to add a layer above, clip that one down as well. I'm going to change the blend mode to colour dodge 40%, grab 50% grey by double tapping here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that to the tops of these flowers. and that blend mode will just nicely lighten this a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same onto the orange as well. So go to what's already clipped onto it, the red, add a layer above, clip that down on top of everything, and then make this one color dodge 40 as well. I'm just going to apply that to the tops of the orange parts. And then to put some texture on the leaves, I'm going to add a layer above it, make it a clipping mask, and I'm going to grab this pink colour, and using the same gradient texture large brush, I'm going to add this coming out from the bottoms of the leaves, so it sort of merges with the stems a little bit. And then I just want to add a bit of darkness to the outside of these leaves, so I'm going to add a layer above that pink clipping mask, clip this one down as well. We'll change the blend mode on this one to colour burn 40%. Experiment with the opacity if you want something a bit more intense, and then using that grey colour, I'm just going to add a bit of that to the tips of these leaves. Obviously you can use any brushes you like to do the shading on these, but if you want to use the same ones as me, there's a link in that description for that. So the only thing left to do now is to put some texture onto the stems. So we'll add 2 layers above the stems, clip them both down. We'll make one of them colour burn 40%. It doesn't matter which one you have on top and which one below. And the other one colour dodge 40%. And with the grey colour, we're just going to scribble a bit of texture variation over these on each of those layers. There we go. So now if we zoom in, we've got a nice bit of varied texture on the stems as well. All that's left to do now is repeat that shading on our extra group. So let's turn that back on, and so I can see what's what, I'm just going to put a layer in between there, which we'll delete later, and then we can see which leaves we're working with. So I'll just go ahead and repeat that on these now. So once you've finished putting your texture on this layer, we can delete these spare bits at the bottom, and you can either hide everything, swipe down, copy all, except your extra layer. Of course, don't hide that. Copy all, then swipe down again, tap paste, and then you've got a flattened version of that there. Or if you have plenty of layers spare, we'll do this with the pattern layer. You can turn this layer on, swipe to duplicate, and then flatten that. And then we're going to hide everything else apart from these 2 flattened top layers. I'll put the background colour back in. First of all, we need to put our extra group back onto the edges. So to do that, we just need to put a mark across each of the corners here, going off the edges. We can swipe to duplicate, bring that over there, and then bring the other one over there. Those are snapped to the edges there. Then we can pinch those 2 together, erase those marks there, and then these are in the right place on the corners. We can now turn our pattern layer on, and we need to make sure that we've got the stems underneath that, so that these ones here, you can see when I move them above and below, we want the stems underneath the flowers. So making sure that your extra group is underneath, you can pinch those 2 together now. We've already got these marks in the corners on this layer from where we duplicated the stems earlier, so we can duplicate this now and then put this into each of the corners using the snapping. So make sure it's snapping exactly into place each time. This snapping part will be a lot easier if you've got everything else underneath hidden. If you've got layers underneath that's showing, it's also going to try to snap to those layers. So if you make sure everything else is hidden, it will only be trying to snap to the edges of the canvas. And it should snap nice and quickly. There we go. So with this tile, you don't need to worry about layer order on this one. You can just pinch the top 4 together, erase these bits in the middle, and the bottom, you just need to erase those off the corner. And then you can pinch those 2 together, and that is your pattern tile finished. Hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial and are loving these nice bright colours that I've chosen. If you want to get your hands on this floral template, it's over in my Etsy shop in a set with 6 floral templates, all of which have tutorials on YouTube. Don't forget to share your finished patterns on Instagram so I can see them, and tag me at Rebecca Flaherty so I can share them to my stories. All that's left to do now is give this a quick test to make sure the pattern's working, and then we are done. So swipe down with 3 fingers, tap copy all, and then up here, swipe down again and tap paste. Then we can drag this up and snap it to the middle there, 1800 pixels. Duplicate it, swipe it over to the right and snap it to the side. Pinch those two together, duplicate again, and snap that down there at the bottom. And that is our finished pattern tile. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you next time.